to record now. Yeah, we had a teacher whose name was Gia, Manuel Gia, right? This
Mhm.
was his name. Ask your dad about this guy. This guy, he was also your dad's teacher. He came into the class. He did not even say hello. He came, waved, stared at everyone, did not even say good morning, nothing. Started writing the topics on the board. He said, the book is this is the book. And then he said something like, do all the even numbers. Like, do all the 2, 4, 6, all the exercises, do all the exercises with even numbers. That was his only remark. Those were the only words that he uttered, that he mentioned. And he left the classroom. That was the class. Imagine
Mhm.
what class is that, right? Just come and write something on the board and say, do all the exercises that are even exercises 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
I can
That,
do that too,
yeah, exactly.
but
So, but nobody came to him and told him, "Hey, teacher, that's not a class. Hey, teacher, what is that?" Nothing, right?
mhm.
So, it's it's unfortunate, as you say, that a university of the class of Instituto still have these deficiencies. But well, that's normal part of growth, Mitch. Um, if you were the manager, how would you fix that? And that some students gave you feedback and they told you, "Hey, hey, director," or how would you change that for the better?
Definitely the way that high school do it in the same instituto. As I told you, they organize them at which levels. In everyone and all semesters has English at the same hour,
Yes.
uh, and they switch their classrooms to get their own level in the English. It was organized as basic, premium, intermediate, pre-advanced, and high advanced. Um, and that's the way that they organize in the prepa high school. I don't know why in their university don't do the same. It's the same. It's institution.
Yes. Well, that is where politics comes and takes place, unfortunately. Sometimes they hire the coordinators because she's the niece of the manager or because she's the who's the coordinator now, by the way?
The coordinator
Yes.
of of the university
Yes. For
could be
English.
Araceli.
No, but that's the coordinator for the whole university. Who's the coordinator for English? Because there must be a an English coordinator for that.
I don't really know. I just know two, no, three teachers of English for the whole university, but I don't know. No, they
Because
never introduced to them to us.
oh really? Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. There was a coordinator there. I don't remember her name. It was a lady, a little bit chubby, and the issue is that, well, as with every case, maybe she's not very familiar with what you say, with this concept of assigning levels. Let me welcome Mickey Mitch that is joining
Mhm.
us. Mickey, good morning. How are you?
Hi, teacher. Good morning. I'm great. Thank you much. And you?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm chatting here with Mitch about um, how schools assign levels to the students who are candidates. The normal thing which many schools do, I do it in the school, they do it at Jean Piaget, they do it at Liceo Cervantino. Mitch says that they do it here at Instituto, which is a great idea. They do it in high school. They divide English per levels. Even if you are in third grade, if your level is elementary, you go to elementary. Or if you are in first or second grade, but your level is advanced, you go to advanced. And so you
Yeah.
switch classes. And I believe that's a great idea. What do you think, Mickey?
Yeah, I think that it's a great idea. The issue here is that in the university is like just one level, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, the level is the lowest level. We
Okay.
still looking colors or verb to be. Always is the verb to be, and
Ooh.
sometimes it makes the class for me bored.
Mhm.
Yes. Um, but that is a problem not only for the students, but it's also a problem for the teachers. Because I have been in the teacher situation in which some students are incredibly smart. And forget about smart; they are advanced. They know a lot. So this is the top students, right? The top students are here. Here would be you, Mitch, maybe some other students, right? Intermediate, 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 and which is a majority, and then a few students who are really low in level, right? The level is intermediate, low, or very high level. It's actually high. And how do you help these people, Mickey? If you want to focus your attention on the high one, on the intermediate ones, the advanced students are going to get bored. So it's a problem of the system. The system is not well designed because then you
Yeah.
have to be with three different levels in one single class of probably 20, 25, 30 students, right?
Hmm.
Well, let's say that you have no choice. How do you assign your time? How do you organize the activities? How do you organize it?
Mm, the activities of the different levels, or what?
Yes, 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 yes.
Mm, well, first of all, I think that it is necessary to have like a test or like exam to determine which people gonna go to a different level. For example, when people's gonna go to a low level or intermediate or high or top level. And then I think that it's necessary to have probably, yeah, at the instituto in the same hour, divide the group in little groups depending of their levels, and each group have a different class or that could see different topics between them.
Yeah, I have had classes, Mitch, Mickey, in which
Hmm.
we have, for example, 8 students. We have 8 students. Let's see if you would do the same students, and then one or two are very advanced. Two advanced students, and then you have 4 or 5. Let's say 5 intermediate level students, intermediate ones, and then one which is really basic or elementary. Well, what we have done in the past with other teachers is if we have a group with 8 students who are very advanced, normally we have the two advanced students do an activity together and sometimes even help the intermediate students, right? Like now that the issue of debates has become very popular, so the two advanced students normally conduct a debate over any topic which can be of interest for them, of course. This can be like a debate an idea because they have the level to debate, right? The other ones cannot do that
Mhm.
yet. The intermediate ones normally are assigned another activity which can be um, there can be many activities, which is one of them is grasping or grabbing vocabulary on a topic. Grabbing vocabulary on a specific topic. And the elementary ones, or one in this case, just go over the basics.
Mhm.
But then you have 3 classes in one classroom.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool because but everyone is with their pairs, with their peers, right? With their similar people. And then you have to supervise 3 groups instead of one. but it's probably better to do it like this.
Yes, because if they everyone at same level, just some kind of people learn and the others uh, go back. Nah, stay back.
Yes, 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 exactly. And in this case, at least everyone makes a little progress on each of the topics. The best, very, very, very best is what Mitch and Mickey say, that um, the school should divide them up in different groups. But if that is not possible for whatever reason, at least, well, make the division in the classroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that the issue is that, for example, in university in Sitirapato, I would say that just a 15 or 20% at maximum has a high level. The
Mm-hmm.
rest of the people, I would say that is more low level and probably another 20% an intermediate level. So it is hard because the majority of people doesn't know don't know nothing about English.
Let me write the percentages again, Mickey. Can you tell me what percentage of people have a higher level?
Maximum 20%.
Maximum 20%. That is what? Like this? Maybe like this. 20% is one fifth, right? This is one fourth. One fifth should be here. This is 20%. This is high level.
Yeah.
Have a high level. High level. That's going to be 20%. What percentage has intermediate level, Mitch?
Intermediate level.
Yes.
Mm, like could be 40%. Nah, it's too late.
No.
Uh,
Probably another 20%.
Another 20%. So it's going to be a
Yeah.
similar
40.
40. Well,
Yes.
40 is like this, I
Oh,
think.
or 35.
35. Okay, well. All right. So this is intermediate. Intermediate. 35%. Okay. And the rest, which is 40, what? 45?
or low level.
Very basic, right? Let's call them
Very basic.
basic. Is 45%. You're talking at university level or at high school level?
A
University
university.
level.
High school is another thing.
Okay, so this is college level, right? University level.
Hmm.
College level. All right. And another issue which is important is the origin of the students. For example, many of my students at Jean Piaget in junior high are planning to go to Instituto. And they already have a pretty high level. Some of them have already a pretty high level because they invited me to teach there with the advanced students. And it's not that I did it; they did it themselves. The method, the system is good, so they have students who are going to go to junior high with a pretty good, decent level of English, but then they're gonna, well, they're gonna be in this system, right? That Mitch was explaining in the morning earlier today, that they make divisions for elementary, intermediate, pre-advanced, and advanced. Is that correct, Mitch?
Yes.
Okay, but this is a problem in college level, in the university level.
Yes, everyone is the same level.
So what I was telling Mich Mickey is, if the students know this problem, and obviously is a core responsibility, right? It's not only the responsibility of the school, but also I think the responsibility of the students to provide feedback or positive criticism. How can we convince the system to change? And that is a pretty interesting question because we use this in every topic of society, not only changing the structure of a class, but how to change the society, right? uh,
Hmm.
how do we do it? Or how can we convince or influence?
Uh, Al instituto?
Any system. This is a general question. In this case,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
we are talking about instituto. How can we convince or influence or invite, let's say, invite the system to change? Because compared to society problems, this would be a minor problem. I don't know if you agree, Mitch or Mickey. Compared with the
Yes.
issues that, for example, here where I live, which is in Pueblito Lindo, there's been shootings and shootings. Today we counted uh, 6 rounds of shootings with bullets, which you can see they are high caliber. 6 rounds of self-propulsing guns that have rounds of 25 shots, more or less, each. So times six. And yeah, they have greenhouses for strawberries, and the owner likes to shoot. And that's what people say. But 6 in the morning, I say, well, what is going on here, right? Uh, so these are more serious problems, the violence, right? So I compare with that, I would say that this is a minor problem. What do you think, Mitch or Mickey?
Mm, I, I'm not sure.
Uh, I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, teacher, now I can hear you. I don't know what happened.
Yes.
Probably it's my internet because.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that this question is simple, or more or less not simple, is is relevant, but is the same as when we talk about changing the system to change the society, right?
Mm,
But um, compare to the problems that society has, this idea is more or less simple. That was the question or the comment. I don't know if you agree.
Um, so simple, but in the part that we have to execute them, or or put it in practice, it's more difficult than we thought because a lot of people really don't care, make the change, or I don't know, they don't see the point, and
Okay.
that's the part that we have to put a little effort and try to convince them the pros that they could obtain as a result of that.
Okay. Make try to convince them. Look at what you said, Mitch. You said something extremely important. You said that people need to make some effort, and we need to, and you guys need to try to convince them. So, uh, this is a crucial question. This is really an important question in every aspect of life. How do you convince someone to do something he or she does not care about? Looks at like a simple question, but it's really a serious question. In every organization, there are companies in which workers go and work. They do a lousy job because they don't care, or some students go to school and they don't know, or they are not aware that learning is incredibly important for them, for their future, for their life, but they don't know about that, and they consequently don't care. So this comment is incredibly important. How do
Mhm.
you convince any person to do something that he or she doesn't care about? And that
Yes.
is in society too, right? How do you convince a policeman to be honest, to be ethical, to be a good worker? He says, I don't care.
Yeah.
So it's a good question. How do we do it?
Um, like you said, sometimes it's difficult because the other person don't seem like a benefit to them or to a group of people. So sometimes it's necessary to show the good consequences that could bring us a change in the system, or to change something in specific.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. I love this idea, this suggestion. You need to show, right? That means that you are working. You are working to show the good consequences that can bring a change in the system. You need to make them see the benefit. Yes. So you are more or less creating the future, right? Creating a new future. Creating a new future. And obviously, to create it, you need to first visualize it yourself or ourselves, right? We need to visualize, envision, envision, or visualize the new future. For example, in the case of the classes, the system, let's say that they have a coordinator which doesn't know much and doesn't care much and is very comfortable in her position as a coordinator, right? How would you tell a person like that modifying the rules or modifying the system would be in her benefit? What would be the benefit for her if the structure changes? Listen, I'm not asking you to go to the school tomorrow and tell the teacher this and that, right? I'm just giving your dad's gonna come, he's gonna say, "Hey, you're creating a revolution in the school," right? I'm not saying
Yeah,
that.
I
I'm just
can tell
saying in
you.
general, yeah. If the structure changes, how does she benefit? Because that's a good question too. How does it affect her positively?
Maybe in this case could be the institution get more prestige
Get
to get more prepared students.
students better prepare. Perfect. Yes, that's a great idea. This is probably an idea for the managers
Hmm.
because if she really, well, that depends on the motivation of the person, right? Normally, the owners want to have more students and students that are better prepared. But no, yeah, I like the idea. Get a high prestige. Institution gets a high prestige. What else, Mitch or Mickey?
Mm, I would say that there will be more mm, competition in general. The school could be more competitive.
Okay. The school could be more competitive. In what aspect, Mickey?
Well, probably it will be like an advantage to the school to present the school that there are different levels of English, or there are different English levels, so you can improve depending of your level, and in consequence the students will be more prepared in general.
Okay. I'm trying to connect this with the interest of the specific coordinator or specific teachers. Actually, this is an issue of the system, not an issue of the teacher. It could be
Yeah.
Yes.
more prepared.
Teacher, I'm going to the bathroom.
Yeah, of course. So the issue here is how can she become more interested, the coordinator? I don't know if it's a he or a she, but I think it's a she. How can she be more interested in fixing the system? Which would be her, what would be her motivation to improve? Right? What can motivate her to improve? That's the issue, right?
Mhm.
What? Or normally people act, I don't know if you agree with this or not, people act based on fear or based on enticement or appealed, appealed, an appeal, something that is attractive to him or to her. So let's make two columns. Fear if there is no change, the job is at stake. That can be a motivation to change, right? Like in many factories or many jobs. Oh, if you don't do a good job, you know, the job is at stake. So workers act or behave or comply based on fear. You have seen this, right, Mickey?
Yeah.
I mean, if the so that's one way to do it. What can a person in that position fear? Well, sometimes it's the students' complaints. Yeah, people you can say to the teachers, "Hey, teacher, there are lots and lots of students complaining, and they are planning to go to the manager, to the director, that the system is this and that and that." And then she's gonna fear that. Of course, she's gonna try to obtain information. Oh, who is saying that? They can follow and behave or change the system, or they could try to retaliate also, right, which is not good. So you never want to reveal the identities of the people. Yeah, right. And besides, you want to protect your classmates.
Yeah, of course.
But this would be a comment that would make the coordinator a bit wary of the consequences if there is no change, right? Hey, there are lots of students who are complaining that the system is the same and the same and the same, and they are planning to. That can sound like a threat, and we need to be very careful how this is sounded, right? Because it shouldn't sound as a threat. It shouldn't sound as a threat. But people work on fear, and some other people work on appeal, something that attracts. Okay, what can attract a teacher, a coordinator to make a better system? Mm, maybe positive feedback, positive feedback, right? Feedback to her bosses, right? You can actually say something like, um, I don't know. If, I have many ideas which are not very conventional, but something like a coordinator. Some students think that the system is going to improve and they are ready to go to your boss and express gratitude, their gratitude, right? Like take it for granted, like if it has already happened. I don't know. What do you think of this idea, Mickey?
Um, so, what's my opinion about that some students think that the system is going to improve?
Yeah. I mean that the students tell the coordinator
Hmm.
something that hasn't happened yet, but that they are convinced that it's going to happen. I don't know if this is very impactful, creates a strong impact or not. What do you think?
Yeah, probably because then the coordinator could notice that it's not only one person who thinks that. There's a group of people who thinks in the same way and believes that if the system change could improve in general.
Okay, all right. What do you think of this idea, Mitch? That some of the students tell the coordinator this idea.
I think could be good to try. But well, actually, in the second semester, we and my classmates of my classroom tried something like that, and they told us that no, this is not a school of idioms of languages. You have to adapt this of the system. We can just change it just for your I what they say something related with capricho.
Would you whim?
Mm-hmm. Well, they recommend us to try to persuade our own teacher to make us the class better for everyone. Uh, but she refused because uh, she has a lot of work and things like that. Even if she just managed like 4 groups, I don't know, but that's what they mm, told us.
Wow. Okay. That's incredible. Well, not incredible. That's actually very credible.
Mm,
So they put the burden on the teacher, not on the system.
yes.
Yeah. And this is a reflection of the whole system of society. They say it's not a matter of the system. It's a matter of an individual policeman, an individual worker, an individual teacher. Is so the system doesn't change. The burden is on the individual. It's really interesting, but when you want to carry out social changes um, that really transform the world, you can do them in various ways. Actually, let's Google, please, the word social, dramatic, or crucial, or how can we say something that is very big, very exaggerated, dramatic social changes, changes, and how they operate. Because sociologically speaking, this is a very interesting question, I think. How do social changes take place, or how they have taken place, right? How social changes have taken place. And that is modifying the police system, developing new technologies, becoming a more efficient society, all kinds of social changes. You know that. So, can we Google this, Mickey, please, Mitch?
Oh, sorry, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
My my device has not battery.
Oh, okay, okay.
Maybe
So
I'll
charge it if you
disconnect a
wish.
little. Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Take your time. Yeah, no problem, Mitch. And which social changes have you seen, Mickey, or are you aware of? What have you seen that has been a social change, obviously for the better, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm, I have here a page is from the Southern New Hampshire University, and the
Oh,
topic
that's
is what is social change and why should we care?
okay. That sounds
Correct?
interesting. That sounds interesting. That's from England, right? South Hampshire, I
Yeah, I
think.
think so.
Mhm.
Mm-mm-mm. Can you see it?
Yes, yes, no, I can see it. Uh, there is okay.
Um,
All right.
what is social change and why should we care? Social change is is way human interactions and relationships transform cultural and social institutions over time, having a profound impact of society. Uh,
Okay.
Here says that social change is a concept many of us take for granted or don't really even understand. No society has ever remained the same. Change is always happening. We accept change as inevitable, and it is. End of story, right? Well, not exactly. Uh, Continue, teacher.
Yes, please, Mickey.
Socialists, Sociologists define social change as changes in human interactions and relationships that transform cultural and social institutions. These changes occur over time and often have profound and long-term consequences for society. Well-known examples of such change have resulted from social movements in civil rights, women's rights, and LGBTQ rights, to name just a few. Relationships have changed, institutions have changed, and cultural norms have changed as a result of these social change movements. That's pretty heady stuff, don't you think?
Yeah. Okay, yes, continue, Mickey, because what follows sounds also very interesting.
Okay. Uh, what interests me and what I hope interests you is our collective power to influence social change. While we accept that change is constant, we don't have to accept that we are powerless in its wake. It is the extent to which we care about the direction of social change that we can try to shape it and help to create the kind of change we wish to see in the world. Whether or not Gandhi actually uttered these words doesn't matter. What matters is that the phrase begs the question: what kind of change do we wish to see in the world?
Okay, before we follow up, there is a person they mentioned, in which is Gandhi. Let me share something myself. We come back to your reading, Mickey, please, in a moment.
Yes, sure.
Let me share this for a second, and I'm gonna share something myself. Do you know much about Gandhi, Mickey?
Mm, well, just I know like the general information of him.
Okay.
I'm not too informed about it.
Uh, okay, there is another person who is a fantastic person in history, I think. Um, and that's Gandhi, and the other person was Mandela, Nelson Mandela.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these two guys are extraordinary people, in my mind at least. The other person who was a great precursor of social changes was Martin Luther King Jr., and even the late John F. Kennedy, and other social fighters that have changed society. Well, obviously Hitler, although he changed the society in a horrific way, horrible way, let's say. But all these people have been leaders. Other leaders that you think have changed society, Marti, Jose Marti, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even, well,
Mm,
Che Guevara. Who else?
um, Jesus of Nazareth.
Jesus, of course. Oh, he was a, yes, of course. Uh, well, he's probably in a different level, right? He's maybe above all these guys, but well, that's a good number of people. And each one has made contributions to society that change society. Okay, which of these ones are you familiar with? And maybe some of them should be in another group, but well, we have them here.
Mm, I just don't know who Jose Marti.
Jose Marti. Okay, well, that's very simple. Let's Google him a little, please, and let's find out what he did in society.
He was Cuban,
Let's,
right?
excuse me.
He was Cuban.
I'm not really sure if he was Cuban or not. I thought he was from Venezuela, but let's look up Jose Marti, please, Mickey. Let's Google him. It's a fantastic
Mhm.
thing that we now have this. Um, you can share that if you wish, please.
I found here. I'm gonna share the screen.
Yes, Mickey, thanks.
Can you see it?
Yes. So we are checking on some of the people, Mitch, that have changed society. Oh, yeah, he was Cuban. That's true. Ah, okay. He fought to become independent from Spain.
Mm,
Okay, let's see. Do you want to read something about that, please?
yeah. Jose Marti, Cuban patriot. Jose Marti, in full, Jose Julian Marti Perez, born January 28th, 1853, at Havana, Cuba, and died May 19, 1895, Dos Rios. He was Cuban poet and essayist, patriot, and martyr, who became the symbol of Cuba's struggle for independence from Spain. His dedication to the goal of Cuban freedom made his name a synonym for liberty throughout Latin America. As a patriot, Marty organized and unified the movement for Cuban independence and died on the battlefield fighting for it. As a writer, he was distinguished for his personal prose and deceptively simple, sincere verse on themes of a free and united America.
Okay, very interesting. Mitch, can you read the next paragraph, please, about Marti?
Yes. Uh, educated first in Havana, Martí had published several poems by the age of 15, and at the age of 16, he founded a newspaper, La Patria Libre, the Free Fatherland, during a revolutionary uprising that broke off in Cuba in 1868. He sympathized with the Patriots, for which he was sentenced to 6 months of hard labor and 1871 deported in Spain. There be continued his education and his writing, receiving both an M.A. and a degree in law from the University of Zaragoza in 1864 and publishing political essays. He spent the next few years in France, in Mexico, and in Guatemala, writing and teaching, and returned in Cuba in 1868.
Well, it is very interesting that people like him. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Mickey. I'm gonna stop sharing this for a moment, and then
Mhm.
I'm gonna mention another person, also from Cuba, that has given the world an incredibly controversial character, to say the least, right? And that is Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro is one of the most controversial people or characters in history, in recent history, because some people absolutely love him and some other people absolutely hate him. Some people believe he was a dictator, a conspirator, etc., etc., etc. But his beginning, the way he was led into power in Cuba, you will not believe it who chose him and why he chose him. Who would you think that put him in Cuba as a leader to change society in Cuba? Who do you think that trained him and gave him support at the beginning? What nation?
Mm, Russia?
Well, you will not believe it, but it was the US.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they have done that with many groups in many countries. They train you, they put you there to fight the existing regime, and then they end up fighting each other. Let's read a little bit about the beginning or the uprising of Fidel Castro, please. Can we? In the
Yeah.
uprising of Fidel Castro in power, please. Or the not uprising, the okay, the biography of Fidel Castro. And then we focus on the beginning, not on the middle of his campaign or life or at the end, but at the very, very beginning, how he entered power. And he was fighting Batista because the Americans wanted to have the sugar cane and all the resources from Cuba, and they instilled Castro to oppose Batista. But okay, let's talk about that. Let's look up in internet, please. Okay, here Mickey found something. So let's try to focus on the beginning, please.
The life and times of Fidel Castro.
Okay, let's look for the beginning of his career. Okay, well, you know who educated Castro? I didn't know this. The Jesuits. So you can tell right away that he was well educated, right?
Wow.
And the thing is that they don't tell you that in the public media, right? Because then you give him more medals instead of crosses.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the Pope is Jesuit, and if you say
Yeah.
that Fidel Castro was a Jesuit or he was educated by the Jesuits, you give him support. It's like promoting his image, so you don't mention that. That's also curious in publicity in media, in the media. Well, let's read a little bit about him, Mitch or Mickey, please.
From here,
Yes, maybe there, please.
um, the son who was born illegitimate in Biran, in rural eastern Cuba, in 1926, added a prodigious ambition for power. Even the Jesuits, who thought him saw danger coming in the big, headstrong boy, whose country slang from the cane fields of Oriente marked him out among his Cuban classmates. The Cuban Revolution, as it turned out, though not as many of its supporters had originally hoped, was above all an expression of Mr. Castro's will and the unbridled exercise of his massive ego. Ego?
Ego, yes.
Mhm. In his Cold War heyday, he turned his small island into a pocket superpower, fomenting revolution across Latin America, dispatching armies to Africa, and brazenly sheltering fugitives, political and criminal, from the United States.
Okay. Can we read the next paragraph, Mitch, please?
Yes. Uh,
Fidel.
Fidel, he was one of the few world leaders widely referred to by his first name. Was lucky too. He might have been killed many times as an inspiring leader in the gangsterish ambience of Havana students' politics. In his quixotic castle on the Moncada barracks in 1953, where some of his followers died, or in the desperate early weeks after the botched letting of the grandma, the overlord pleasure boat that transport his tiny force of 82 rebels from Mexico 3 years later. And then there were the hundreds of attempts by the CEA to assassinate him, ranging from the partial and exploding cigar, the near misses, those of botulism that burst before it could be added to the milkshake by a barman in a Havana Libre at Hilton Hotel.
Yes, he's the person that is supposed to have had the most number of assassination attempts that survived.
Oh
So
my.
it's remarkable for that. But listen to the next paragraph, which is very interesting because here is the real outcome of Castro. Can you read it, Mickey, please?
Yes, sure. Here, right?
Yes, please. Had it not been,
Had it not been for a fortuitous amnesty for political prisoners decreed by Fulgencio Batista, the dictator he went on the overthrow, he might have rotted for decades in prison. Then there was Cuba's island condition, protected from continental armies of liberation, except, as it turned out, Mr. Castro's own. This had allowed Spain to hang on to its ever faithful isle. Is how do you say that?
Faithful Isle.
Isle, ever faithful isle, for 7 decades after it lost its mainland American empire. It would allow Mr. Castro's regime to survive the fall of the Berlin Wall despite the bankruptcy of his revolution. As it was, the most sure attempt to unseat him, the ill-fated Bay of Pigs expedition organized by the CIA in 1961, became his crowning triumph, submachine gun in hand. He directed the operation that saw his revolutionary forces kill or imprison the invaders, deprived of air support by the hesitation of President John F. Kennedy before they could leave the beach.
Okay, there is a phrase which is incredibly important here, which is the first and the second phrases. Can you read those back again, Mitch, please? The first one and the second one, and I'm going to explain why they are important. Where it says, had it not been for a fortuitous amnesty,
Mm,
had
the
it
what?
not been, the first and the second one, had it not been for a
Had it not been
fortuitous,
for fortuitous amnesty for political prisoners decreed in Fulgencio Batista,
the dictator.
the dictator he went on to the overthrow, he might have rotted for decades in prison.
Okay, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Okay, okay,
That's it. Why is that
okay.
important? It says the dictator he went on to overthrow. That means that his plan was to overthrow, to drive away the current president of Cuba. But who supported that operation? Why? How can a person overthrow? It's like, okay, Mickey, let's get rid of Obrador. You say, but who? You, meet you and I, meet your dad, you and I, a group.
Mhm.
Who, right? Who is going to support that? Well, the Americans supported that. The Americans didn't like Fulgencio Batista because he was not giving them full access to the sugarcane fields, and
Mm,
the fruit companies of the US wanted to have full access to sugar to do their sodas, the Coca-Cola. Mainly the Coca-Cola company supported the coup. The coup is they supported Castro to overthrow Batista. But they don't say it here. They just say he went to overthrow Fulgencio Batista. How? Alone? With his family, with his friends who gave him support. They don't say that here, right? But in reality, this was like in many other Latin American countries, the whole system of corporations in the US that obviously want to have the resources of the Latin American countries to what? Well, to produce their beverages, their pharmaceuticals, their products. They need the resources. Where do they get them from? From the Latin American countries. Why? Because they don't have them in the US. So, how do they do it? Well, they choose a person and they give him support. In this case, it was Castro, and he
mhm,
was successful.
Mm.
But of course, they don't mention it here. But there will be places. So that's information I wanted to look for. How or why did? Okay, let's. That's the question. Why did Castro overthrow Batista? Let me Google it. How? Why did Castro overthrow Batista? Let's see if they say here.
mhm.
Uh, why did the U.S. want to overthrow Castro? No, that's later. Why did Batista start a coup? What was Fidel Castro fighting for? Let's see. There are many documents,
Yeah.
uh, but okay, Castro-led revolution. This is interesting. Let's see if it says here.
Mhm.
So that's what history doesn't say. It doesn't say it
Can you
here.
share, teacher?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mickey. Let me share here. All right, here. So the whole idea of this topic is to show or to discuss who leads the changes in general and who we think they lead the changes in society and who really do it. Okay, here. Okay, here, maybe here. All right. Can you read this here, please? The U.S. government.
Mhm. The US government had supported Batista, a former soldier and Cuban dictator from 1933 to 1944, who seized power for a second time in a 1952 coup. After Castro and a group of followers, including the South American revolutionary Che Guevara (1928 to 1967), landed in Cuba to unseat the dictator in December 1956, the US continued to back Batista, suspicious of what they believed to be Castro's leftist ideology, and worried that his ultimate goals might include attacks on the US's significant investments and property in Cuba. American officials were nearly unanimous in opposing his revolutionary movement.
Okay, so it really says the total opposite. Let me see. Castro Supermovement quickly established his power in Urrutia. Okay, it says totally different of of what I know because it says that it was himself, but I have different data, like the president says, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, we need to, that's gonna be a debate. Let's not worry about that for now. But then you have people like Kennedy, you have people like Mandela, we have people like Fidel Castro, etc., and they have made provoked social changes. Other people, Mitch, that has provoked or led or made social changes that you know that has impacted you or in a way at least influenced you in a way.
Mm, Martin Luther King.
Okay, what did he do?
He, how can I say, abogó?
He advocated.
Uh-huh. He advocated for the black people, black people citizens' rights.
Yes. All right. How did he do it?
Mm,
Like
I think that with very good discourses and actions.
discourses and actions. Yes. How do you like that? Giving speeches in public.
How do I like?
Yes. What's your opinion about that? How do you like this idea?
Oh, well, uh, you have to very dominate the subject to try to convince all the people that have a concept totally um, opposite that the message that you have to try to change them back.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to do something of that nature?
With my parents count?
I don't know. However,
Yes, I
yes.
guess. I,
And
I think.
have you been successful?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, that's a talent. Not everyone has this talent. Preaching and speaking in public, which is basically the same. Preaching is predicar, right? But you can predicate, you can speak in public to convince the mass. It is not something so easy to do. Have you spoken in public, Mickey? Like preached in public to convince a mass of people?
Mm, I don't know if it is considered a mass, but I talked in my group, in my classroom, about changes that I think that are necessary to do.
Wow, that's amazing. How receptive are the people?
Mm, like always, there's gonna be people who's gonna agree with you, and there's gonna be people who's gonna disagree. But in the majority of times, I always try to uh, show up the consequences that those changes could bring to us. So yeah, in the majority of times, there's a positive
Was
feedback.
Okay, very nice. Let's take a quick look Let's see if we find a famous discourse from Hitler and with English subtitles, please.
Okay.
Famous discourse by. I want to analyze his body language more than the contents of his discourse.
Hitler speech.
Please, maybe a short
Uh,
video.
Crab Factory. Oi.
Okay,
Well,
a short discourse by Hitler.
his voice scared me.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, he has a strong voice.
Yeah, you have like the link to watch the video. It's just a short video.
Yeah. Let me share it. Um, there are different speeches.
Yeah, let's just take a look at one of them. The idea
Mm,
is to check his body language, his posture, the voice. Uh, Maybe if he has English subtitles, even the contents would be good to see which words he uses to move the masses.
okay. Mm, I thought that I found a video with subtitles, but uh-uh.
Oh, here's one.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
I found one,
Is
but from Stalin.
from Stalin. Well, that's another great speaker, and I have not seen many of him really. Can you share that one, please, Mickey? From Stalin, I hadn't seen
Yep.
him speak in public. And let's see what you guys think. Oh, it's getting
Send it in
late.
the private chat here in StreamYard.
Okay, thank you, Mickey. Let me look it up here. Yes. Okay, here it is. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at it really quick before we finish, and let's analyze his body language, how he. Stalin speech.
It is so short, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I researched. What do you think of it?
um, to be honest, I'm not too informed about what he did, but um, like the majority of people who do speeches to uh, mass people, they share like how can I say this authoritarianism,
Right. Yeah, a voice of
and
authority. Yes,
yeah,
authoritarianism.
and their body language impacts more than what they're saying, the way how they say it.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, that's something to bear in mind when you are in a big audience, when you have a big audience. What would be your concluding words, Mitch? We changed from a variety of topics,
Hmm.
and we didn't really have a really well a closing. But what can you conclude about skipping from one topic to the other.
Hmm,
What can you say?
maybe uh, we we always can't afford for better possibilities, and we have to find the right discourse or speech to convince the leaders to change our environment.
Our environment, exactly right. Well, that's a fantastic conclusion, putting everything together. It's like the thread that connects everything. Very good, Mitch. Thank you very much. What do you think, Mickey, before we go?
Um, about the topic of today,
Yes, please.
mm, well, I think that sometimes it's necessary to be brave and share the way how we think, and if something is not uh, giving us like a benefit, it is necessary to do a change, and it is important. Well, I would say that it's important to see um those kind of discourses because more than the message that they are sharing, the way how they sharing and how they impact masses of people. So I think that it's so interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic comments, Mickey, Mitch. Thank you very much. Well, that will be it for today. I wish you a great Sunday. Enjoy
Thank you very
and
much.
see you tomorrow, I guess, right? At what? At
Yeah,
4? Tomorrow at
Yeah,
4?
I don't know. Tomorrow we don't have classes. I don't know if for you it's possible to have the class sooner, or if it's not possible, it's okay.
I think would be better. Yes, actually, I think it's much better that we do the class in the morning. Yeah, what do you think, Mitch? Would it be better for you to do the class in the morning or in the
better.
afternoon?
Yeah, better sooner.
The sooner the better, right? Okay, so let's schedule the class for then what? Maybe 8:30 or 8:30 or 9. What is better?
For me, 8:30 it's good. Today I
I
woke up
think
at 6:40, so
Wow, wow. Well, I'm envious of you, Mickey. Today I woke up at 8:15 before the class, so, but
it
I
is
went
good.
to.
It is
Oh,
necessary.
yeah, why lie, right? That's the truth.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, you guys enjoy. Say hello to the family and see you tomorrow, 8:30 then.
You
Take
too,
care,
teacher.
Mitch,
Thank you very
Mickey.
much.
thank you,
Take
Enjoy.
care
teacher.
and
Take
thank you for
care.
your time.
Have a
See you
Have a
wonderful
nice
day.
tomorrow.
day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.